masyadong umaabante, no? At ikatlo, yung writing on the wall, yung ICC is no longer just a writing. No? Mukhang sabi nga ni former spokesperson niya, Harry Roque, mukhang pumasok na rito.
Right.
Pumasok na at seryoso yung approval ng presidente dun sa ICC. No? Kaya yung Christmas at New Year, yun nag-dominate. Yung mga podcast ng idol mo, si Harry. No? Meron siyang 3 podcast na very controversial. Practically, ang sinasabi nila, hindi na si Speaker Martin ang dahilan dito sa ICC, no less than the President. No? At panghuli, ay ingat sila kung papadampot nila si Digong sa ICC, baka magkagulo. No? Baka magkagulo. No? So, yan yung mga nag-dominate sa podcast niya. Kaya, hindi ko na-imagine si Digong being circumspect, no? Pero yung 3 elements na yan, naubos na yung kanyang political base, mukhang hindi naman na-receive ng maayos at nag-fail naman siya na i-link up yung mga grumblings within the military, maliban dun sa isang crackpot na Captain Dado, no, na nag-announce ng withdrawal support at transfer ng support kay Sara Duterte. At ikatlo, yung nakaramdam na siya ng kanyang mortality, na hindi na lang ito mga maneuvers, hindi na lang ito writing on the wall, kung hindi isang real threat sa kanyang hindi lang political future, kung hindi sa kanyang physical survival. No? Kaya siguro, isa yun sa dahilan kung bakit nag-send siya ng killers. Ang sabi kasi niya, I don't want to confront the president, no? I want to send a message, di ba? Indirectly. Yun ang word of the day, indirectly, no? At tingin ko lately nitong mga nakarang araw, bagaman sinabi ng presidente ni President Bongbong Marcos na willing siya makipag-usap kay ex-President Duterte, mukhang hindi naman nag-scale down yung mga atake. Nag-scale up pa nga eh.
Yeah.
Kung nabasa mo yung atake ni Pulong Duterte, no? Kung nakita mo yung mga vloggers na pro-Digong, no? Katulad nila Maharlika, no? Nagpatuloy naman yung atake. At ikatlo, may mga lumabas na mga video ni Vice President Sara, mga pictures ni Digong, na parang hindi naman ganun ka-veiled o hindi naman ganun ka-indirect yung banat doon sa Polvoron. No? So yan yung ikalawang word of the day, Polvoron. No?
Polvoronic. Polvoronic. Yun yung term ni Maharlika. Chinecheck ko yung video niya sa araw. Wait.
Mula ni Maharlika.
Ronald.
Ngayon ay
Boss Ronald Leamas, just for the purpose of some of our audience who may not be as avid watchers and fans of Buljak TV or ano itong Polvoron na yan? Kasi alam kong Polvoron, ito yung biscuit yata, di ba? Yung lumang style Polvoron. Pero alam ko, yung sinasabing Polvoron ni Maharlika ay medyo ibang Polvoron yan. Ano bang, is this is this like an OG kind of, the kind of term for a certain thing? Like, ano tong Polvoron na to? Matagal pa yung ganitong expression?
Yan yung tawag ni Maharlika sa cocaine na kanyang charge ay gumagamit ang presidente.
Yeah.
At hindi lang yun, meron daw video na kinuha yung isang close friend ng presidente or former close friend, no? Habang
na hindi Vic Rodriguez ang pangalan. Na hindi Vic Rodriguez ang pangalan.
Hindi Vic Rodriguez ang pangalan. Na gumagamit ng Polvoron, no? Although, ang sabi ng ex-President Digong nung kanyang press conference a few days ago, ang sabi niya ay hindi siya naniniwala ron. No? Tingin niya, walang basihan yun. No? Bagaman, yung mga taon niya, at saka siya na rin, at saka yung kanyang anak, ay ginagamit na yung Polvoron motif. No? Yun yung ginagamit nila. Na parang hindi naman nakatago. Parang diretso na yung banat. No?
Wait, are you referring to the picture of Digong eating the biscuit Polvoron na marang asar lang yung mukha niya? Yung ba yun? Is that what you're
Oo.
referring to? Like,
Tsaka yung video ni Sarah, no?
oh, ay, di ko alam yun na. May video rin si May sinend ka ba
May
sa
video
akin?
siya about Polvoron, no?
Oh my gosh. So even Sarah pala
So,
nakisali na. Oh,
very
wow.
consistent yung Polvoron narrative.
Oh,
Mula
Polvoron
kay
narrative.
Maharlika, kay Vice President Sara, at saka kay President Duterte. So hindi nag-scale down. Mukhang nabasa nila na mukhang hindi naman kinokol ng presidente yung kanilang mga overtures, yung kanilang mga feelers, yung kanilang indirectly na pinapaabot, no? At saka yung sinasabi ni Digong na I am comfortable with the president. No? Mukhang yung comfort na yon ay natabunan na ng Polvoron. Yung mga Polvoron ads nila.
Wait lang, pero di ba sabi ni, well, not BBM himself, but his press secretary said something like, you know, bukas ang bahay ko, any moment you can drop by and we can have a conversation. Di ba may mga BBM nice urbane gentleman, may mga ganun. Hindi ba yun ang signal enough na we don't need to escalate this? I mean, what was the context of that? Kasi si Duterte medyo nagpapalambing in his Digong way. And then si BBM naman ay gentleman, suabe. Wala naman problema, sir. Pwede ka pumunta sa akin anytime. We can have a conversation. Just like yung after pagbisita na sa Beijing, di ba? Ang dami na inis sa Pro Marcos na kilala ko. Ito naman itong matandang to. Pinapayad si BBM, ganyan. Pero si BBM relax lang. Winelcome niya sa Malacanang. Nag-meeting sila. Picture-picture. Everything looked nice. What's going on there?
Well, yung mga public na yan, no? Mga public display of affection, yung lagi mong ginagawa. No? Di ba? Marami kang PDA. Marami nakakakita sa iyo with the PDAs eh. Hindi ko na lang sasabihin kung
Bromance. Yeah. Sige lang.
Hindi ko na lang sasabihin kung sino yung mga kasama mo na chichismis ka, no?
Aba. Wait lang. Sino mga to? Yeah.
Yung mga PDA na yan ay sa intensity ng politika sa Pilipinas, medyo baliwala na yan eh. No?
Correct.
Sabi mo nga, ginagawa na naman yan in the past, pero wala namang nare-resolve. Diba? Hindi naman nagkakaroon ng detente. Nag-escalate pa nga, nagiging open warfare na. Tawag po, civil war. No?
Yeah.
So, tingin ko, too much water under the bridge. No? Kaya mahihirapan na. Kahit may mga ganyang overtures. At saka meron naman silang mga tao sa both camps eh. Meron naman mga tahimik na kumakausap. Tingin ko, yung mga kumakausap, wala rin silang mapulot na paglalambing from both sides. Baka nakikita nila na talagang the lines are drawn.
Yeah.
No?
And certain lines have been crossed. Yeah.
Kaya ako na, mahihirapan na. Kahit may press con, kahit may overtures, kahit may indirectly gusto makausap, gusto ipaabot, kahit merong comfortable statements. No? Mukhang yung mga nangyayari. Paano may na-monitor ko rin yung kanilang mga vloggers eh. Tsaka yung mga troll farmers.
Mukha nga. Hindi naman obvious.
Mukhang hindi naman nag-scale down.
Yeah.
Lalo na sa context nitong political project, hindi lamang ni Speaker, kundi mukhang may blessing na ng Malacanang, itong People's Initiative. So lalong nadagdagan yung fuel sa apoy, no? Nitong People's Initiative na ito. So I cannot see na ito ay nag-scale down. Kahit yung isang political analyst galing sa aking alma mater, no, ay sinasabi sa ABS-CBN, no, na hindi pa naman
parang kilala ko yan.
Hindi pa naman daw nadidivide yung Uniteam at may some symbiotic relationship yung presidente.
Nagba-biological analysis na siya.
Sabi ko, saan naman sako ng basura sa Quinta Market pinulot yung ganong klase mga analysis, no?
Sa School of being nice to the bosses.
Or baka nag-a-apply ng trabaho. Ano mukhang kakatanggal lang niya eh.
Ay, medyo back in the market pala. Alam natin yan. May kilala din ako sa alma mater ko ngayon na dati campaign manager and then biglang nagkaroon ng show sa isang channel. Next thing you know, puro lang siyang praise sa dating presidente. Alam ko, parang nag-apply ng trabaho ito. At in fairness, nakakuha siya ng trabaho. Para kilala mo yun. Ito yung maraming sinasabi pero never nag-publish ng anything Academic pa to, pa PhD pa ito. Pero walang na-publish ever pag nag-Google Scholar namin, halos zero. But anyway, mamaya na tayo maghahanap ng kaaway, Ronald.
PhD, baka isipin mo pa na kailangan ko mag-produce ng fan.
Naku, ikaw Ronald, ikaw ay isang ikaw ay Socrates, kumbaga, di ba? You don't need to write it down. There'll be always a Plato to write down what you have. Ikaw ay Socrates, di ba?
Wala akong kahit anong kahit anong diploma
Ikaw ano ka, or OG ang diploma mo. But Ronald, going back to this.
I'm just a heckler of the...
No, but this is what I like about Ronald Botti. Hindi ka pretentious enough. Ang dami mga pretentious na professor, ganun. Tapos wala naman publish. Tapos inis na inis sila pag pinapoint out mo yung nonsense. Tapos inis na inis sila pag hindi sila yung hinahanap ng international media or yung mga matataas na journal kung saan medyo nagpa-publish tayo ng konti, di ba? Anyway, balikan natin, mamaya tayo magbardagulan sa next na yan, sa Chacha episode. Balikan natin ito, Ronald. Wag na natin pag-usapan yung mga ibang not worth discussing. No, ito, Ronald. Kasi alam ko marami nakikinig sa atin, so ingat lang tayo. Hindi, ito, Ronald. Ako kasi, ang pushback ko sa ganito, I would say, for all the sabogness ni tatay, I think he's shrewd enough to realize when he's hitting a certain threshold. I noticed that in his 6 years, pag alam niya, hindi niya pwede pilitin yung pro-China position niya, biglang magre-recalibrate siya. Pag alam niya, medyo sumobra-sobra yung mga EJ case ka na, magre-recalibrate siya. We saw that after Kian de los Santos, we saw after yung incident during pandemic, So I agree with you that he's not as sharp as coherent as should be, but I think he's still shrewd enough to realize he's hitting a wall di ba? Na eto na, nakikita na talaga niya yung limits of power niya. I think there's also this aspect, Ronald, of sobrang na-underestimate niya kasi si BBM Yung the whole weak leader, and then yung sinasabi nung isang favorite mong vlogger na Kuting, di ba yun? Kuting of the North, yung mga ganun. I think a part of Digong realizes maybe he's not Kuting after all. Maybe he's more of a baby tiger than a Kuting, di ba? And not to mention, of course, I'm not with BBM. He relies on pretty shrewd people to run the show, di ba? In his behalf. So Duterte is realizing their cards are not as strong as he thought. And probably is looking for some way of bringing down a little bit of temperature and then figuring out what's the next move. I think he's also realizing that at the end of the day, siya yung patriarch of the family Siya ang kailangan magligtas dito. And Ronald, let's be honest, if Digong knew what he needed to do, Sara should have been the president today, right? If he knew how to engineer that succession, I don't think BBM would have even run for office. I think Sara had a very good chance of becoming the next president, or I don't know, getting someone like Isko in office or something like that, diba? So I think there's also a sense of guilt in him na, sayang, alam ko nga mangyari ito pero nangyari na ngayon at parang hindi natin kaya ito. So I won't be surprised that over the long holidays, that actually medyo quiet si Digong, wala siyang sinabi masyado. Baka nagkaroon ng konting illumination, maybe not 10 out of 10, but probably 4 out of 10 and all. But the other thing is, eto Ronald, I'll ask you this. I mean, obviously, if you're BBM, your preferred situation is, tatahimik ng konti itong mga Duterte na yan, at eventually, tanggapin na nila, they're at best gonna be secondary powers in the hierarchy. Probably not even secondary, but at least in terms of big dynasties, number 2 sila at best. And hintay lang niya yung 2025 and then dudurugin niya lahat ng kalaban, and by that time the Duterte camp has to accept that they're just gonna be a minority, although quite a vocal opposition here, and then yun na yung maging pecking order. In short, BBM would rather have this a slow burn situation whereby tatanggapin ng kabila na this is the new pecking order. Hindi na kayo boss at medyo malayo na tayong dalawa. It's not gonna be a partnership anymore. It's gonna be an asymmetric alliance. Parang nangyari sa Russia and China today, di ba? For half a century, Russia was the senior partner in relationship with China during Soviet Union and earlier so post-Soviet Russia. But now, alam mo, parang medyo tanggap na nila Putin and Russia na sila yung secondary power in that relationship. So, we saw very OG gangstery people eventually accepting that shift in the pecking order. No, literally pecking, being on top right now, China. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe we're underestimating the rationality of Digong or his ability to realize he's hitting a wall. At the same time, siguro, Ronald, we are also underestimating BBM's ability to keep pressing his advantage while keeping things still relatively on an even keel or short of a threshold of what I call mini civil war or direct confrontation. I mean, what do you think about that perspective? Kasi pansin mo,
Tingin
mas
ko-
mas naglilin ako on
tingin
this
ko-
side eh. Oo.
Tingin ko kung ganyan ang pagtingin ni Digong, ay masasakyan ko pa yung una mo sinabi, na ina-underestimate pa rin niya until now si BBM.
Okay.
Parang tinitingnan niya na BBM ay pagkakatiwalaan yung kanyang overtures.
Yeah.
No? Na tingin ko ay bahagi ng underestimation, no, nung sinasabi mo kanina, no? Dahil if I were BBM, no, bakit ako magtutruce? Na alam ko naman na after the midterms, kung si Sara ang number 1 sa survey for 2028, yari kami. No? Yari yung mga Marcos. Dahil mag-shift na yung political loyalties at again, magbabago na naman yung political alignment against them. Kaya habang malakas sila, between now and the midterms, gawin na nila yung dapat gawin. Kung hindi nila, pero Digong is fighting for time eh. Delaying tactic yung ginagawa ni Digong eh. Diba? Until after the midterms. Kung mag-survive sila until the midterms, ang tingin nila ng mga Duterte, no? 2028 na yan. At sila ang leading sa 2028. At least ganun ang kanilang calibration. No? Ngayon, kung tatanggapin ni BBM yung ganyang overtures at i-delay yung open warfare, no? I-delay yung durugan, then he will do so at his peril. Dahil after the midterms, magbabago ang complexion. Lalo na most probably, mas mataas si Sara kaysa kay Speaker Martin. No? Most probably.
Yeah.
No, unless ikaw ay may nakikita sa iyong bola kristal na probability na lalampasan ni Speaker Martin si Sara after the midterms.
Ronald, may nakikita ko sa bola ko may bagong survey agency na lalabas after elections at biglang ang taas ng iba dyan. Like, akala nyo kayo lang may ganitong analytics. Meron din kami yan, di ba?
Natatawa nga kami talaga sa mga surveys eh. Dahil nalayo nila sa isa't isa. Diba?
Kaya nga medyo, alam mo naman, something is off here.
Layo ng SWS, no?
Correct.
What's happening, no? Naghahanap buhay pa itong mga to?
Uy, tama ka Ronald, dun sa Pulse Asia na hindi na-release. Mukhang may chance talaga yung opposition, no? I mean, at least 3 of them dun sa Magic 12, which we can talk in a separate episode. But Ronald, I want to keep it here because this is where we have to discuss 2 important curveballs, if I can put it one way. One is the ICC curveball. I don't know kung pwede mo i-timing yan because hindi kompletong pwedeng control ng gobyerno kasi it's also ICC can determine their time when they can issue warrant of arrest. And the second issue is Chacha, which as early as right now, medyo ginagalaw na yung bola. But again, so I think there are 2 moving parts here, medyo moving parts, lalo yung ICC part. So let's discuss that in the next episode because I think we have more or less established here where we kind of agree and where we slightly digress from each other. Ako kasi, probably I a little bit more appreciate Duterte's ability to recognize his mistake at the 11th hour. You seem to be more skeptical than me. At the same time, I think I'm also a little bit appreciating more BBM's ability to keep things on an even keel and then press his advantage. It's a very difficult skill. It's a very high-level skill. But probably he has it. Maybe he's better than we thought. But I can completely agree also. I can see completely your argument that where you're coming from in terms of your skepticism on both counts. So maybe we can leave it there and go to the second episode, which is more important. Kasi none of our arguments will hold if something big happens on those 2 other fronts, especially in ICC, right? Like that completely scrambles everything, right? So we froze those 2 variables of ICC and to a certain degree Chacha, and that's what we're going to discuss in the next episode. Thank you very much, Secretary Ronald Llamas, for joining us. Merci beaucoup. Thank you for joining us from Harry. That was good. I enjoyed it. All right.
Happy 3 Kings?
Oo nga pala, Happy 3 Kings, sir. Of course. Okay, let's go to the next. Eto na. Bonjour, comment ça va? Continue natin yung discussion na Evalugue dun sa episode 1. Dun sa episode 1, discuss natin, Ronald, yung what's happening, how much of a ceasefire is this? Is this ceasefire gonna hold? Or is this even a ceasefire at all? Or is this all signaling and noise? But sabi ko nga, mahirap na to substantiate any particular argument on that. So each of us gave our conjectures, no, educated conjectures. If we don't take in consideration 2 important variables, unahin muna natin yung ICC kasi Ronald, probably you have more information than me right now because you're in Europe. I don't know anong mga marites sa'yo. is it possible that the ICC may push for warrants of arrest early this year or first half of this year, and then without any coordination with the Philippine government? Because ito yung argument ko, Ronald, if ikaw si BBM, siguro magde-negotiate ka with ICC. Alam naman ng ICC, it's a judicial body but it's not politically naive. It's not geopolitically naive, right? It takes many things in consideration. That explains why probably halos purong lahat ng mga nahuli nila so far ay hindi European, except, I don't know, some bunch of Yugoslavian people. And bakit siguro ang bilis nila nag-react dun sa Ukraine war and in-issue ng warrant of arrest kaagad si Putin, ang tagal-tagal dun sa mga ibang kaso sa Middle East and of course, Philippines right now. So, is it possible that behind the scenes, ICC and BBM are talking and saying, okay, ito yung gawin mong timing, and then kung ganito yung timing, siguro mas cooperate kami sa inyo in terms of enforcement. Kasi it's one thing for ICC to issue the warrant of arrest or something along those lines, or subpoena, is another thing to make sure na maging cooperative yung Philippine government. Or do you think that ICC is just gonna push its case and taking advantage of whatever situation is happening in the Philippines? Yung parang, okay, maganda, mag-away kayong Uniteam, pinagbigyan tayo ng konti, pero even if hindi mag-cooperate itong mga BBM na to, ipupush na namin ito. In short, are they gonna have a purely judicial approach, or there's gonna be some political negotiations behind the scenes, etc.? And what do you think is BBM's preference? What would he push for if behind the scenes there is such negotiations?
Well, tama naman yung sabi mo, Big R, no? Na hindi naman purely judicial lang yung considerations ng ICC. May mga political perspectives din naman yan. Ang problema lang, Big R, ay yung mga tao kasi sa ICC, hindi naman mga permanent yan eh. Nagbabago yan eh. Yung
Good point.
prosecutor nagbabago,
Good
yung
point.
mga judges nagbabago, may mga terms yan. No? At galing yan sa iba't ibang mga bansa eh.
Good
So
point.
wala akong nakikita na permanent fulcrum. Halimbawa sa United Nations, na pag may gulo, may nagba-backdoor. No?
Right.
May nag-uusap. No? Sa ICC, wala akong nakikita ganun. No? Kaya kahit yung mga tao dyan may mga political perspectives, walang gagawa ng ganung klaseng negosasyon na sinasabi mo, no? Between the Philippine government at sila. No? Ikalawa ay may sariling time frame ang ICC eh. Baka
Right.
doon yung pwede nating sukatin na kailan ba most probably lalabas yung international warrant. Usually, historically, yung proseso na yan ay mga 7 to 8 years.
Right.
Yung proseso na yan. At mukhang tayo ngayon, at this point, nandun na tayo sa 7 years na yan or more. No? Kaya more or less, inaasahan na based on their time frame, based on their, sabi nga ng iba, napakabagal na proseso, mukhang hahampas yan sooner than later.
Right.
Ngayon, dito. Tapos, ikatlo, ay mahalaga kasi itong kaso ni Digong
Right.
dito sa ICC dahil ito yung first Asian na makakasuhan.
Right.
Usually kasi yan, Africans at saka mga former Yugoslavia, yung mga nakakasuhan. Ito yung first time na may Asian. Kaya
Right.
hindi rin sila pwedeng mag-dili-dali dito. Dahil marami yung mga bumabalat sa kanila ay pinapanood. No? Na
Right.
kami lang ba laging kinakasuhan? Africa?
Exactly.
Kami lang bang Serbians ang laging kinakasuhan?
Yeah.
No? Et cetera. Kaya nakatingin sa kanila. Lalo na ngayon ay may nagpaplano na mag-file sa ICC.
Right.
Yung Israel, no?
Right.
Yung Israel. So bago sila maunahan nitong Israeli-Gaza case, no? Ay kailangan na nilang i-resolve sooner than later itong
Right.
kaso ni Digong, the first Asian na nakasuhan, no? Kaya based on that, no, hindi naman sila pwedeng pressurein, madaliin nyo, bagalan nyo. Duda ako kung may ganung klaseng capacity between the ICC and the government na mag-usap sa ganung level. Pero within their time frame, mukhang halos eksakto na yung preliminary investigation na maglalabas ng international warrant ay napapanahon na. At yung inamin ni former human rights lawyer Harry Roque na bisita rito ng ICC last month, no? Tingin ko ay within that time
Last
frame.
month ba? Sorry, Ronald. I thought
December.
late November, hindi ba? Late November?
Hindi.
December pa, okay. Pero late November, inamin ni Menardo Guevara na open sila logistically for them to come in. They're not gonna kick you out.
Yes,
Parang something
yes.
like that. Okay.
Pero yung sinasabi mo na coordination, no? Tingin ko, tama naman yung sinabi ni Justice Remulla na hindi, nung bumiyahe rito yung ICC, hindi naman sila nakipag-meeting. No?
Right.
At least hindi pa. No? Dahil gusto rin i-maintain ng gobyerno yung kanilang independence.
Plausible
Dahil hindi naman sila
deniability.
stooge.
More like plausible
Hindi
deniability.
naman sila stooge ng
Yeah,
ICC. No?
yeah.
Pero pag in-issue na yung international warrant at yan ay i-implement na probably by Interpol, hindi naman pwedeng hindi samahan yan ng gobyerno. Hindi naman pwedeng
Right.
hindi yan suportahan ng PNP or even ibang mga forces. Dahil pag may nangyari dyan sa implementing people na yan, silang-sira tayo sa international. Baka nga pagbintangan pa tayo na tayo ay kapot sa haba. At wala pa nangyaring ganyan, ha? Wala pa nangyaring ganyan. Na yung nag-implement ay napahamak. So kailangan protektahan yan. Hindi lamang ng mga members ng ICC, kung hindi ng Philippine government,
Right.
kung may mag-i-implement. Lalo na, sabi nga ng Rappler, may more than 300 guns registered kay Digong. No?
Wow.
So, tapos kung i-implement yan sa Davao,
Ano, standoff mode ang nakikita mo dito? Ano, magdala ng SWAT, ganon?
Oo. Tapos
Shucks,
meron pang
drama
isang
yan.
zero-sum guy na nandun, si Kibuloy. No? Na kung mawala si Digong, yari siya. Diba? So, bubuhos na yung buong relihiyon niya in support of Duterte. So, medyo magulo yan. Kung hindi
Yeah.
tutulungan ng gobyerno yung mag-i-implement ng warrant. No?
Yeah, I mean, ako naman kasi, my argument on the ICC is, remember, nag-issue sila, they called on Russia to have a ceasefire. I mean, marami silang ginawa, tas inechepuera lang sila. So, I completely agree that there's a lot of pressure on ICC to do something to show na hindi lang sila bias na purong Sub-Saharan African or, I don't know, Eastern European, ex-Soviet, ganun. But at the same time, ayaw rin nila maging mukhang tanga, di ba? Kasi sabi natin, issue sila ng warrant of arrest, totally no coordination with the Marcos administration. Kasi ignore lang sila ng Marcos administration. Parang that's even worse, right? So I don't know, hindi ba pwede Chinese style split their difference? Yung mga tipong a little bit plausible deniability, a little bit coordination or feelers. Oy guys, baka naman okay na kayo, magre-release na kami in 2 weeks. I mean, I doubt na there won't be a little bit of that. Hindi kaya mid-range let's say low range or mid-range coordination, hindi full coordination.
Medyo mahirap dahil ang usapin lang naman dito ay international warrant.
Yeah.
At implementation ng international warrant. Diba? So at the minimum, kahit hindi na tayo member ng ICC, the government has to protect them. Lalo na kung may desisyon na yung gobyerno na papasukin sila. So medyo nakakatawa yung sabi ng gobyerno na wala silang alam na pumasok dito. No? Sabi ng DOJ. Medyo
Ayan
mahirap yun dahil
ayan na
yung
naman.
immigration
Ayan
ay
tayo
yung Department of Justice. So I'm sure they will know.
Baka illegal recruiter. Baka doon sa baba sila pumasok.
Pwede, no?
Medyo Abu
Kaya
Sayyaf style.
Dahil nakapasok na at nakalabas na, that says a lot. Diba? That says a lot. No? Kahit sinasabi ng DOJ na hindi namin alam kung sila ay pumasok o hindi.
Right.
Medyo malabo yun. Under ng DOJ ang Bureau of Immigration. So hindi pwedeng hindi nila alam. So something is happening. No? Beyond dun sa lumalabas sa mga balita. No? Kaya ako, mas naglilin ako dun sa pagtingin na natapos na yung issue sa ICC. Papayagan na yan. No? Papayagan na yan. No? At masyadong mahirap na yan ay balikan uli yung position early this year na totally sarado, hindi pa pasukin, no? etc.
Right.
Baka mahirap na yung gano'n, yung ping-pong na dilin-dali, mahirap ng panyon eh.
Oo.
Masisira na yung gobyerno. Lalo na, gustong-gusto pa naman ni Bongbong na bumango siya sa international community. No?
Right.
Lalo na, dahil ini-invoke ng gobyerno yung international law sa usapin ng West Philippine Sea, sa usapin ng UNCLOS.
Very good point.
So,
very good point. Very good. Actually, just today, Burbeck, the foreign minister of Germany, also was here. Someone who's known as a feminist, aggressive, green type of foreign minister. So mukhang the Europeans, no, they're going all in on Marcos Jr. administration to be a partner in promotion of democratic values, human rights, and a rules-based international order. So medyo ganun ang peg natin ngayon, di ba? I mean, before we close this episode on ICC and go to the Chacha, which I think is a very important episode also to discuss, ikaw, pagdating dito sa ICC, do you think a part of this was also US and some of the allies telling to Marcos, "Hoy, pare, pangalan mo Marcos Jr., may kaso ka pa dito sa amin. Medyo awkward, masyado kaming friendly sa'yo. Siguro naman, magpakitang gilas ka ng konti. Medyo palayain mo si Layla. Medyo mag-cooperate ka naman na ICC. Do you think there's also an aspect to that of more than gentle, probably, nudge from Western partners
I think,
who are awkwardly
posible.
embracing Marcos so tight, di ba?
Posible dahil nasa gitna naman tayo ng the great game
Yeah.
no? The game of the superpowers. Kaya hindi ko i-underestimate yung influence nila or at least attempts to influence yung ating local politics. Pero in this case, halimbawa, yung kay Laila, matagal ng low-hanging fruit yan for BBM No? Ang dominant lang dyan, kung bakit hindi niya kaagad pinakawalan si Laila, ay dahil dun sa Uniteam.
Yeah.
No? Dahil dun sa, nung nawala na yung Uniteam, mabilis na yung hindi nila ipipressure yung judiciary, hindi nila pe-pressurein yung mga prosecutors na i-delay yung bail. Lalo na, wala nang witnesses
Right.
Or almost ubus na yung witnesses. So, tingin ko it has less to do with pressure ng US. Bagaman, may mga resolution yung US Congress, US Senate.
Senate, yeah. Senate especially, yeah.
European Parliament, IPU, marami na yan in the past few years. No? In spite of that, ang tingin ko, ang main decision pa rin ni BBM na huwag makialam dun sa proseso dahil kung hindi siya makikialam, talagang bibigyan ng bail si Laila dahil wala nang witnesses Tsaka
Right.
mahina naman talaga yung case from the start. No? Wala namang corpus delicti.
Yeah.
Wala namang smoking gun.
Medyo
Wala
sabog
namang-
masyado yung kaso.
Walang drugs,
Yeah.
walang pera, walang ebidensya na
Yeah, talagang joke time yung kaso.
No?
Yeah.
Dun sa kaya at tapos sinabi ng mga witnesses na pinipressure sila ng Secretary of Justice, no, etc. etc. So, talagang from the start ay pwede naman niyang gawin ni BBM. Hindi lang niya magawa because of the Uniteam. At nung wala na yung Uniteam, ginawa na niya. Pinakawalan na niya. Tingin ko mas yun yung dynamic dito. Has less to do with bagamat meron, has less to do with the pressures from the superpowers. No? At least dito sa usapin nito.
Right. So you think even a gentle nudge probably was not needed. Now, last point on this. There's of course the aspect of Kiboloy and SMNI. I don't know about the bloggers. Maybe they don't matter as much. If the ICC warrant of arrest is gonna come and you're expecting some resistance, etc., do you think the government will also move on the Kiboloy issue, the FBI and warrant of the arrest, whatever, and also wanted list, diba? And also the SMNI issue na kasi diba, that will be one of the ways na the pro-Duterte camp might fight through their sympathetic media channels, etc. Do you think na pwede nila isabay lahat yon? Diba? Pwede yan, diba? I mean, you go for it. All in na, diba?
Susubukan nila. Pero mismo kasi yung SMNI ay under attack No? Mismo yung entablado na yon ay baka hindi nila magamit ng husto.
Right.
Diba? Kahit ini-invoke nila ang press freedom, kahit ini-invoke nila ang harassment, no? Tingin ko mahihirapan sila
seryoso
na gamitin yung entablado na yon. At saka ibang kaso yung kay Kibuloy
Right.
No? Yun, pwedeng mangyari anytime. Extradition yun mag-request lang yung US ng extradition, no? May ihirapang tumanggi yung gobyerno dahil clearly ay merong ganong classic treaty na existing, no? Hindi yan ICC na may gray area na pwede ba, hindi ba pwede, dahil umalis na tayo. Yung sa extradition, very clear yan. At medyo heavy medyo malalim yung kaso, no? Pedophilia, rape, no? Money laundering, no? Human trafficking. Medyo seryoso ang US sa ganyang klase mga kaso. No, hindi yan basta-basta lang at mahirap yan i-negotiate politically.
Right.
Dahil may independence naman yung judiciary ng US sa kanilang political system. No?
Right.
Kaya bagaman tingin ko ay they will welcome yung arrest ni Digong na ang tingin nila siya yung foothold, siya yung main supporter ng China sa Pilipinas. No? I-welcome nila yan. Pero kung magkakaroon sila ng active role dito sa ICC, they're not even a member of the ICC.
Right.
Diba? Hindi sila miyembro niyan. Kaya, at lalo na ngayon na yung dinedepensahan nila, yung Israel, pwedeng makasuhan sa ICC, tingin ko malabo
Imminent yung
na-
decision na yan, di ba? I think imminent yung decision, yung first decision on
Oo.
and whether
Kaya
magka-call
malabo
for
na
ceasefire ng
yung
ICC.
US ay
Yeah.
mag-negotiate with the ICC sa usapin ni Digong.
Ma, pwede pahingin
At
ng
sa
charger
usapin
ng phone ko. Ma, yung charger ng phone ko sa room.
ng
Yung black.
international warrant.
Mm.
Tingin ko, merong sariling buhay na yan na basically dominated ng ICC. Lalo-lalo na, hawak na nila yung smoking gun. Hawak na nila sila Scanias. No? Hawak na nila.
Yes.
Kaya seryoso na sila.
Yeah, medyo
Seryoso
next
na
level.
yan.
Yeah.
Hawak na nila eh. No?
Thank you so much for that, Sir Almas. Next episode, let's talk about Chacha naman. This is very important. I thought pwede natin squeeze in, pero actually yung ICC pa lang, ang daming angle. Actually, maganda itong discussion natin kasi we didn't talk about the logistics and the geopolitics of ICC decisions also. It doesn't mean the ICC is not fair. We're just saying hindi rin sila tanga. Diba? They take into consideration many factors. So I really appreciate your intervention on that point. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, ito na tayo. Chacha. Okay, Bossing Ronald Llamas, s'il vous plaît, let's talk about the issue of charter change. Kasi ganito, actually I just had a piece come out in Journal of Democracy. So ito yung mga, mga sila Francis Fukuyama, where I argued that actually kung titignan mo si BBM, literally ito yung sinabi ko, no, na, when Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the namesake son of the late dictator, won an emphatic victory in the 2022 elections, many feared that he would follow in the footsteps of his late fathers. Other word, he would build on the authoritarian populist legacy of his immediate predecessor. Rodrigo Duterte oversaw widespread human rights violations with impunity throughout his 6 years reign of office. In fact, I warned in an earlier journal article that he could turn out not to be just the debonair career underachiever, but also an insidious threat to Philippine democracy. And yet, instead, and to the surprise of many, Marcos Jr. has emerged as an unlikely quote-unquote reformer, as well as a tough defender of the Philippine sovereign rights in the South China Sea. But I had a lot of caveat. And my biggest caveat was that, okay, he did good on the Lima, good on West Philippine Sea. But where I'm a little bit worried about is what I said towards the end, that I'm still sticking with my initial argument, which is Marcos Jr. may favor switching to a parliamentary system run perhaps by Speaker Romualdez after the 6-year term. Thus, the namesake son of the former dictator may still end up as a potential threat to the Philippine democracy, or at least the existing constitutional order, albeit in a more surreptitious manner, but also to the Dutertes. So now let's talk about this, and of course, this is where I'm very Ronald Llamas. I said, but will the Dutertes go gently into the political oblivion? It seems doubtful, right? So this is where I went the Ronald Llamas way. So you see what I did there? Parang point ko is, so far, in fairness, kay BBM, not too bad. But if he pushes for Chacha and all, Ferdinand Marcos, charter change, constitution change, like, that doesn't sound very reassuring, right? And it might make it look like all these 2 years of nice reform, whatever, was just to set it up for something else. And that we were all being so focused on the Uniteam and Duterte's, we're forgetting that behind the scenes, maybe they're pushing for the Chacha. What is your read on this Chacha thing? First of all, do you think there's a good chance that Marcos may pull off a Chacha? And do you think that he has a good reason for that? Because my sense is a parliamentary system would be perfect for him, right? Let's be honest, Martin Romualdez' approval is like what, 32% or something like that? Even lower than when Arroyo was speaker. And then itatapat mo kay Sara, 2028, parang, I don't know, di ba? So maybe a parliamentary system would be best way for him to engineer a happy succession. And in fact, he can remain as a head of state if we have a kind of an old Turkish system or Italian system. Di ba? In Italy, there's a president, symbolic, but technically still head of state. So meron ka pa rin sovereign immunity. You get what I'm saying? So what is your read on this whole Chacha question? The latest iteration of Chacha question. And people initiative. Yeah.
From two vantage point. Yung isa, yung pagtingin talaga sa itong mga constitutional changes. Dahil ang constitution naman talaga should be a living document na open sa process ng pagbabago at saka changes, right. Diba? Yun naman ang nature ng constitution. It's a social pact. Right. At ang main argument, ang main essence ng constitution is to protect the minority.
Yung black na lang kunin mo, yung black na charger.
Yung pa naman yung mga mahihinang mga sektor, yun ang nangangailangan ng protection. At dyan pumapasok ang constitution. No? Dyan pumapasok ang constitution. Yung mga shift to another system ay importante rin. Because at
Right.
particular moments, baka yung lumang system ay hindi na umubra. No?
Right.
Pero kahit sinasabi natin yan, ibang usapin yung paano mo na gagawin yan.
Right.
No?
Right. Right.
Dahil it's not simply a shift from an old one to a new one. Ang mahalaga are the requirements. No? Ano ba yung, halimbawa, ako sang-ayon ako sa federal system, pero you don't federate overnight, or else you will
Right.
be federating warlordism,
Yeah.
inequality, poverty, and all the ills of both systems. No? Yun yung mangyayari. Maganda ang parliamentary system dahil mas naiiwasan yung mga crisis, political crisis, na usually nangyayari sa isang presidential system.
Well, except if you're Bangladesh, Iraq. I mean, I can give you many parliamentary systems which are a mess. I mean, just look at Bangladesh. What
Yes,
happened?
yes.
Sheikh Hasina and the
Yeah.
Trapos took over the system. Yeah.
Yes. Ikalawa ay maganda siya dahil political parties ang nagpapasya, hindi lang mga personalities, hindi. So theoretically, platforms ang pag-uusapan, no? Not personalities, no? No, yun yung mangyayari. But in reality, there are parliamentary systems and there are parliamentary systems.
Exactly.
Yun yung
Exactly mo.
kaya nga, dati nung nagsalita ako sa Senate, yung mga senators are talking about a German model. Natawa ako.
Ayan na naman tayo.
German model.
Alemania. Yeah.
No, what German model are you talking about? No, iba yung nangyari sa Germany, iba
Yeah.
yung kanilang kasaysayan, iba yung kanilang political dynamics, at iba yung kanilang system, no? Yung kanilang parliamentary system, iba yan sa ibang parliamentary system. Kaya
Nag-charge
hindi
ako,
siya
guys.
pwedeng
Kaya
model.
nilagay ko ganun.
Ikalawa,
Nag-charge.
di ba? Lagi na natin pinag-uusapan, nung gusto ni Digong na mag-shift to a federal system, tinanong siya kung anong modelo, ang sabi niya, the French system. No? Which is not federal. No? Kaya, ibang usapin pa kung ano ba talaga yung actual na gusto mo, maliban dun sa mga principles ng charter change. No?
Right.
Medyo naiba. At panghuli, yung kondukta, yung political objectives, nung nagtutulak ng charter change now. No, yun yung nagko-create ng hindi lang confusion, hindi lamang division, kundi ng mga contradictions, no. Halimbawa, malinaw naman last year na mayroong push for charter change through a constitutional convention.
Right.
Diba? Hindi natuloy dahil mismo ang presidente ang sabi ay wala sa timing at hindi siya priority. So, it fizzled out. Ngayon, ang tulak naman ay People's Initiative. Di ba?
Which is suspicious, isn't it, right? Isn't it kind of suspicious? Don't you think there's a chance that they... Well, I mean, this is the accusation, no? Na parang nire-railroad nila. So let us go to the accusations, no? So interestingly, Ronald, for almost 6 months, you and I have been having R&R, and always our line is, the realignment is medyo pink and BBM, right? We'll discuss even later on. Si Ralph Recto, well, not necessarily Pink Dilaw, but you know, who knows, maybe Mar. But we can talk about that separately. But now you have a situation whereby Edsel Lagman, the head of the Liberal Party, simultaneously with Amy Marcos, the super, pro-digong person, both coming out and attacking this People Initiative and making some serious allegations na this is not looking like a people's initiative. This looks like taxpayers' money going to certain ways to persuade certain people to push for this. You know what I'm saying? So how do you see this People in isn't it a circumvention, railroading, questionable, serious, insidious strategy?
Well, una kasi, they don't have the luxury of time eh. Kailangan talaga nilang mabilisin yan eh. Paano 3 stages yan eh. Yung una, yung People's Initiative itself. 3% ng minimum 3% ng all congressional districts at 12% ng buong voting population nationwide, which is less than 8 million. No? Less than 8 million yan. 7 point something. No?
So kaya yan.
So, kailangan nila makuha yan. No? At ang problema, yung People's Initiative na-reject na yan ng panahon ng FBR eh. No? Na-reject na yan dahil
Yes, good point.
implementing rules.
Good point.
No, walang implementing rules. So, nagkaroon ba ng implementing rules since then hanggang ngayon?
Wala.
Wala. no? So
At wala rin
meron
Supreme
siyang-
Court ruling on it. Last time I checked. There's also no Supreme... Yeah,
So medyo may judicial difficulty.
Gray area,
Because
legal
it's
gray
okay,
area.
no?
Yeah.
Pag umakyat. No? Ikalawa, yung grupong na-reject, yung pirma, sila ngayon yung active ngayon. sila yung humaharap dito sa EDSA Puera ad. Sila na yung
Napanood pa pala yun. Ano ba yan?
History repeating itself. Dapat kumuha naman sila ng iba. Wala ba silang ibang makuha?
Si Robin Hood. Si Robin Padilla.
Hindi tainted ng rejection, no? Ngayon, nung isang araw kasi, pro-chacha si Robin. Ngayon, anti-chacha na siya.
Oo nga. Kasi gets niya anong mangyari.
Dahil nga rito sa bilihan. Dito sa mga signatures, no? So, the plot thickens, no? At it's not going very well, no? No? So, yun yung unang stage, yung People's Initiative, na maraming problema. Ikalawang stage, yung Congress and Senate voting separately or together, no? Ang alam ko, may moves ngayon, dahil nga may blessing na ni BBM, hindi na kumokontra si Mick Subiri, the Senate President. Ang problema, do they have two-thirds? No? Do they have two-thirds of the votes? No? Duda ako at this point kung meron silang two-thirds. No? Yun yung second stage. At ikatlo, yung plebiscite itself. At lahat ito kailangan mangyari soon. No? Yun yung problema dito. Kaya lumalabas yung mga problema ng niraragasa, sinasagasaan, vote buying, no? Vote buying, signature buying, no? Kaya lumalabas yan dahil nga pressured sila ng time.
Right.
Diba? Pressured sila ng time. Ang kaibahan lang from last year, ito may blessing ng presidente. No? So magagamit mo yung buong machinery, yung buong political capital ng presidente and the resources. At dito naman bumabanat yung mga opposition at saka new opposition. No? Saan ang gagaling yung pera? No? Saan ang gagaling yung pera? Bakit ang daming anecdotal na balita na binibili yung signature through ayuda or through direct signature buying? So, yan, alam mo naman sa Pilipinas, mahirap itago yan. Ngayon, yung bola ay nasa COMELEC. Pero alam din naman natin na yung COMELEC ay hindi naman ito yung katulad sa ibang bansa na very independent. No? Appointive yan eh. Appointive, kaya very vulnerable yan sa pressures. No? Pero sa ngayon, hawak nila yung bola. Sila yung titingin kung tama ba yung People's Initiative. Sila ba yung titingin kung meron ba talagang signature buying. At sila yung magbibigay ng bendisyon kung pupunta sa second stage.
Right.
No? Na all's well. So, yan yung nangyayari. At all of that, a lot of moving parts, kailangan mangyari at the same time.
Right.
Medyo, alam mo naman natin, hindi ganyan ka-efficient yung ating mga political organizations, no? Hindi pa. Kaya maraming susulpot ng problema. No? Ibang usapin pa kung ano yung gusto ba talagang gawin. Ano ba talaga yung gustong palitan sa Constitution? Paano kung titignan mo yung TV ad, yung EDSA Puera, parang masyado namang foreign, di ba? Ang dating, no? Masyado parang binibenta mo naman yung bansa sa mga foreigners, no? Parang kulang sa predicate eh. Kulang sa presentation. Parang, ito yung problema ng EDSA, ng EDSA Constitution. Ito yung kailangan natin gawin, no? Kaya i-welcome natin lahat ng mga dayuhan, no? So, medyo kulang yung political narrative.
Walang argument naman nila dahil lang sa restriction sa investment ang dahilan. So tinanggal mo yan, magically everything will be fine. Alam mo naman yung mga simplistic na arguments na ganyan.
Yun yung kaya nga, lalong nagsususpensya yung mga tao. Kung ganyan ang sinasabi mo, ano yung nakatago? No? Yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina, yung ba ay shift to parliamentary system? Na yung Prime Minister ang magpapatakbo ng gobyerno at yung Presidente yung magre-represent ng state, no? The state representative and the government leader. Yan ba yung ating pinopropose? Yan ba sa transitory provisions ay ililift ang mga term limits? No? Ililift ba yan? Even the President? So ang daming mga if, no? If. At lahat yan nangyayari at the same time. Kaya hindi ko sigurado, bibili ba ko if they can do all of this, no, at the same time, and surpass all the attacks and contradictions, no. Mas delicate din para sa opposition dahil in-invoke kasi yung EDSA eh. So yung mga natitira ng mga support, alam naman natin na may problema yung mga EDSA institutions. Pero you don't throw the baby with the bathwater, no? Kaya nagkaroon ng bagong stimulant ngayon, yung mga pro-EDSA, pro-yellow, pink wave, para baka magkaroon sila ng bagong buhay, no? At the same time, no, yung mga Duterte na besiege, no, at nalilito kung anong gagawin, baka magkaroon ng political narrative. Ang usapin, almost impossible na magsama yan. Di ba? So paano gagawin yung track na yan na hindi magsasama? Baka nga magbanatan pa eh. Di ba? Yun naman
Yun nga eh, yeah, tama ka.
Dun sa nag-oppose. Kaya nga sabi mo kanina, masaya. No, masaya.
Masaya talaga to.
dahil hindi siya one side,
ang gulo to.
other side.
Ang gulo.
Ang daming sides eh. At saka ang daming angles eh.
Tawag dyan, hybrid warfare.
Dito nagtatribe yung mga political analysts katulad nyo. No, dito kayo nagkahanap buhay eh. Sa ganitong klaseng mga kalagayan.
Alam,
Kaya,
Ronald,
medyo-
kakasabi mo lang, sabi nung isang political analyst, wala naman problema sa Uniteam, everything is good. Ayan tayo.
Lahat dito, pati yung mga analysts, magtatribe sa ganitong
Kahit mga non-analyst, nag-analyst na.
meron silang softbox eh. Meron silang softbox, no? At kami naman mga heckler lang kami. Kami mga professional political
Nako,
analysts.
Tulfo style yan, heckler. Nako, yung isang heckler naging senador na, yung kapatid niya maging senador. Ito, last point dito sa Chacha issue. Honestly, are you worried? Do you think we should be worried about this Chacha? I think, sa tingin mo, kailangan mag-ingay lahat, pati DDS and Pinklawan, just to make sure hindi. Kasi, di ba, I mean, parang yun lang yung best chance mo na hindi manalo ni Sara, or make sure na yung isang preferred successor mo ay manalo. I'm talking about BBM, right? Like, ang taas ng incentive niya to push for this, di ba? And hindi kaya better after 2025 pag talagang dominate nila yung race? Potentially?
Well, after 2025 nga, lagi ko sila nasasabi, di ba, Big R, baka magbago yung complexion eh.
Mm-hmm.
Dahil ang titignan na ng mga, hindi lang ng mga political pundits,
2028 na.
ng mga power centers, sinong leading sa presidential race. No? At dito,
magsishift back yung power.
Kung hindi mawasak si Sara, kung hindi siya masama sa ICC case, ano yung ICC kasi?
Kaya nga yung episode, exactly.
No?
Yun nga.
Focus on, hindi naman lahat isasama sa ICC case.
Correct.
Focus on 2 or 3. Yung mga principal. Kaya, kung hindi mangyayari yan, delikado yung mga Marcoses post-midterm.
You're right.
Yung mga Marcos ay iniisip, this has to be resolved now, not after the midterm. Dahil magbabago yung complexion ng political landscape, political loyalties after the midterm.
So you're saying 2024 is the golden year for BBM if you want something big. In fact, BBM himself said in 2015 when he was a senator, na if you want to change the constitution, do it early in your term in office. He said something like that. To digong pa yung advice na eventually the same in 2017.
Yes. No? Kaya, yun. Tama yung sabi mo. Masaya itong taong ito. No? A lot of things will happen. No?
For the best, God willing. Alright, let's go to the last episode. Very short one. Thank you so much, Sir Liamas. Okay, ito na. Last na. Let's talk about a little bit our favorite persons. Ito na. Balikan natin itong minamahal mong sekretary dati, di ba? Ano mo yan? Katrabaho mo yan, no? Si Mar Rojas. Now, of course, hopes that Mar Rojas may still get back on the saddle were somehow rekindled with the appointment of Ralph Recto, the former NEDA secretary, senator. He was Liberal Party, right? Or kind of with Liberal Party. I remember I saw him back in the day dito sa Cubao, right? At quarters ng LP. I think 2010 elections yan. I remember that very well. Tisoy, mabait, magaling. And I remember na he was rewarded for his push dun sa, di ba, sa IVAT ba yan? Anong tax ba yan? Sin tax ba yan? Binigyan siya ng NEDA. And then, Although, parang may questions kung talagang nag-aaral siya ng economics sa Lasal. Ewan, may nagsabi na Recto Bank. Let's not go there. But anyway, so Ralph Recto, na-confirm na what has been said for a few months. So first, narinig ko, last year pa lang actually, na joke na doesn't want to stay in the finance for long. Mukhang preference niya back to central bank. I don't know if that's really the next. But he has a lot to offer to the private sector once he goes back there.
Parang nag-negotiate siya to stay for a year more. Pero hindi na pinayagan.
Yun nga eh, yun nga. So I think they wanted more stability kasi transition yan. And then Frederick Go also from Robinsons, the whole Go Kong Wei conglomerate has also come in as an economic czar with some degree of power, supervisory power. So interesting happening. So semi-technocratic, semi-liberal-ish figures are coming in. First of all, what is your read on the Ralph Recto one? And do you think this says something about the whole Grand Coalition plan? Pwede ba rin tuloy yan? He will bring in Mar Rojas and some other guys from the somehow other side.
Well, una, without undermining ex-Senator Ralph Recto, no? Ako, I would rather have a technocrat than a politician sa finance portfolio, no?
Pero nagneda na daw siya, di ba? Nagneda naman siya eh. So.
I'm not sure, no? At ikaw, Lasal ka eh, so ikaw na bahalang humatol sa iyong kapwa Lasal yan, no?
Nagturo lang naman ako doon. Pero sige ba? I mean, I'm saying, I don't know about his degree, pero nagneda secretary naman siya. So, I don't know. I mean, probably learned a thing or two as a technocrat there.
Actually, hindi ko sigurado yung mga neta, yung finance.
Yeah.
Ako, mas better sa akin na isa na lang yan eh. No? Naguguluhan ako dyan sa mga divisions na yan eh.
Right.
No? Kaya hindi ko alam how they complement each other. No? Lalo na yung mga OCG, yung mga director, etc. No?
Right.
Masyadong mga pampabagal o inefficient ng pagpapatakbo ng
Red tape,
Pero,
yeah.
So, yung ikalawa, tingin ko walang relasyon eh. Yung dating LP at tinanggap, wala ko nakitang relasyon na sa possibility halimbawa with Mark. No, tingin ko yung gobyerno tinitignan pa nila mas personality, mas yung lapit o layo dun sa mga decision makers rather than yung political color. Lalo na yung political color ay madaling magbago overnight. Tayo lang naman ang hindi nagbabago ang political color eh. Pero yung mga nasa paligid natin, parang nagpapalit lang ng mga t-shirt.
Kaya nga eh. Parang may mali sa atin, Ronald. Ay, ang nagpapalit lang sa atin, kunyari, lighter shade or darker shade of the same color. Yung iba parang, wait lang, bakit ka nandyan? Di ba nandito ka kahapon, di ba? Parang lugi tayo eh.
Or yung magaganda mong mga jackets.
Ayan. Ikaw nga
nakikita-
naka-puffer ngayon. Ako lang, football shirt lang ako eh.
Pero yung mga yan, so they deal with them not as political parties, not as ideological parties na wala naman talaga, no? So they deal with them as personalities. Okay ba si Ralph?
Right.
No? Okay ba si Mar?
Right.
Okay ba si Balisacan, no? Okay ba si Jerry Acusar, no? I doubt kung nakita nila yung color, no?
Correct.
Kung nakita nila yung tao at ano yung political loyalties nito mga ito, or whether ito ay makakasama sa kanila o hindi. Mas ganun yung batayan.
So, parang yung Cool Boys Club, parang ganun? Forbes Boys Club, parang ganun bang dating yun sa'yo?
Well, ang problema kasi ng mga Marcoses, dahil matagal silang nawala, wala silang kaban na pagpupuhaan ng mga tao. No? So, depende, parang last song syndrome. Sino ba yung huli na kausap? No? Sino ba yung huling nagbigay na
or scraping the bottom? Hindi naman.
Yan yung, hindi naman sinasabi yun.
Hindi
Pero
naman.
ayun yung pagiging problema kung matagal ka na wala. No? Kaya, halimbawa, nagreklamo yung mga Marcos loyalists, yung mga kababayan mo sa Ilocos. No? Bakit hindi sila kinukuha? Bakit naman sila kukunin? No? Saan mo ilalagay si Elizabeth Oropesa? No?
Wala akong sinasabi, wag mo ako pamak, babalik ako sa Ilocos.
Saan mo ilalagay yung mga Marcos loyalists na yan? No? Maliban sa
Si Enrile, legal advisor.
Parang anti-Marcos loyalist yan eh.
Medyo, pro junior, anti-senior. Parang gano'n. Parang si Maharlika, di ba? Si Maharlika, pro senior, anti-junior. Yeah.
So ang kanilang process of decision making na iba, no? Actually, hanggang ngayon, hindi ko pa sigurado ano talaga yung process ng decision making. No? Parang noong panahon ni Digong, nagreklamo sila, no? Meron silang list, no? Meron silang selection committee.
Right.
Pero pag may dumalaw kay Digong, no? Kung sino yung dumalaw, yun na. O, si Gina Lopez na sa DNR, no? Si Yasay na sa DOF.
Right.
So yung list nila nasira.
Yeah,
Dahil ang
yeah.
decision making nila is centered around yung personality ni Digong. Dito kay BBM, I'm not yet too sure. No? Sinasabi ng iba ay, mahalaga yung decision ni First Lady.
Right.
Sinasabi ng iba,
Sige lang, go lang.
sinasabi ng iba,
Go.
sinasabi ng iba ay merong team na nagdidesisyon, no? Ako duda pa ako diyan no? Tingin ko ay halimbawa, alam ko yung sa Secretary of Health, no? Sa Secretary of Health ay
Sorry yung kamay ko. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Pero last minute ay merong inihabol. So I'm not too sure how decisions are made. Halimbawa sa appointments, no? Siguro baka by the midterm alam na natin kung paano.
So, ang sinasabi mo medyo sabog yung proseso ng recruitment and all of that. I mean, also it's because nawala yung si Vic Rodriguez, no? And wala naman talagang replacement siya, di ba? In a sense of the same level of comfort, etc. So what you're saying is, parang hindi pa rin maayos yung organizational structure and running of itong Marcos administration. Although even though he's entering already the midterms time. Ayan, shoutout tayo. Marami tayong mga followers from Bangladesh, South Korea. Ayan, marami na tayong mga afam din ng followers. Okay, go. Yes. Ano nga lang, Ronald? Nalobat ka na?
Hindi, palubat.
Ayan, okay lang yan. Last 10 minutes na lang, kaya natin yan. Oh. So, what you're saying, Ronald, is malabo si Mar Rojas. So, parang tingin mo, it's just a comfort level thing and it just happened that BBM was comfy with Ralph Recto. So, yeah, let's go with that. And mukhang mabango naman si Ralph Recto siguro sa investment community.
Ang sinasabi ko lang, Big R, walang relasyon yung appointment ni Ralph Recto kay Mar Rojas.
Sa political alignment.
Ko.
Yeah, okay. No? I see what you're saying.
For now, alam ko may tumutulak sa DOTR, pero so far ay ayaw naman palitan ni BBM si Bautista. No? Meron ding tumutulak sa DTI, no? At balita ko may mga na-interview na tungkol diyan. Pero until it happens, ano ba kahit yung direkto until it happens, it never happen, no? Yan yung nangyayari. Pero tingin ko yung kay Ralph sigurado na yan. Dahil ang balita ko ay nag-request yung incumbent na mag-extend pa ng 1 year.
Right.
Pero mukhang hindi na napayagan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yun yung nangyari. Kaya more or less sigurado na. Yung iba na chismis, I'm not too sure. Ang tingin ko yung kay Bautista ay bagamat may mga taipans na nagtutulak at may mga bumabanat kay Bautista, mukhang hindi pa willing si BBM na i-let go si Bautista. No? DTI,
favorite mo yan. Favorite mo yung DTI talaga Mukhang beating all odds pa rin ang BTI. Talo pa ang Bitcoin dyan. Okay, last point dito sa... balikan natin itong debate na. And now with the Chacha question coming in strong, do you think there's more reason for the opposition to try to win also national positions, or do you think there's less? I mean, I know your analysis already implies certain thing, which is slightly different from my take. Pero ako kasi ang take ko, Ronald, is... if they don't get it through now, they'll try to finish most likely they'll try to finish it right after 2025 elections. Because I think malabo na each charter change mo before midterms. Parang I'm just having a lot of doubts about that. So for me, the opposition should have a little bit of a seat at the table. Should the whole charter change move into the final gear or final chapter early after elections next year, habang hindi pa lame duck si BBM. And then of course, I mean, again, I agree na dapat grassroots, LGU level ang opposition. They have to build it from down to up. But we know, both of us know, sometimes mas mahirap pa yung LGU kaysa national, right? Like Lito Lapid, natalo sa Pampanga, effortless, naging senador. And dun sa Pulse Asia survey, which we correctly pointed out, in fairness, when we discuss the other surveys, in fairness, mukhang Bam Aquino has a pretty decent chance. mukhang Kiko also has a pretty decent chance. And then the super far away 2 or 3 others, they're still within top 18, 20, top 15 even. And then of course Lenny. I don't know about Lenny. I doubt she's gonna run for Senate. But how do you look? Do you think they should aim for at least 1 or 2 Senate seats? Para lang medyo tatlo yung totoong opposition next year?
Yes, una, Big R, ay kailangan linawin ng opposition ay ano ba sila? Nasaan ba sila? Ano bang gusto nila? Dahil parang there's such a huge vacuum sa opposition, at least yung traditional opposition. At politics hates a vacuum Kaya ang lumalabas ngayon, sabi nga ni Jarius Bundok, parang nagmumukha pang opposition yung mga cavaliers, di ba? Yung mga ex-military. Then on different issues, electoral fraud, corruption, etc. Parang sila yung nag-feel ng vacuum. Dahil yung traditional opposition, napakatahimik.
Correct.
No? Napakatahimik. So, kailangan linawin muna ng opposition. Nasaan ba sila? Sino ba sila? Ano bang plano nila? No? Ikalawa, nitong past 1.5 years, parang may unofficial rapprochement between those traditional opposition and the government, NBBM. No, hindi sila masyadong nagbabakbakan. Hindi sila masyadong nagbabalatan. Mas yung new opposition ng mga Duterte ang medyo nagsha-sharpen, lalo na yung kanila mga vloggers, mga atake. No? Kaya yun yung ikalawa, na ito bang rapprochement na ito ay maapektuhan itong Chacha? Mukha. No, dahil ngayon ay parang guns blazing ngayon yung mga opposition. Si Christian Monson magpa-file ng case sa Supreme Court, si Edsel nagpapa-investiga, etc. So pwedeng may breath of fresh air ang opposition at makatulong yan doon sa kanilang introspection kung ano na ba talaga sila.
Soul searching.
At panghuli, alam ko they have to get their act together. Halimbawa, alam ko may mga talks about Big Ten, no?
Right.
Kung hindi mabubuo yung Big Ten na yan, malaking problema sa opposition. Paano mahihirapan sila kung tatakbo sila individually, no? Nung mga nakaraan kasi mga buwan, some in the opposition ang tingin, para magkaroon sila ng fighting chance, wag silang pumorma as opposition.
Right.
Mas pumorma sila as individual senate. Hindi ko alam kung nagbago yan, no? Tingin ko, balance sheet, mas okay na mag-unite sila under one Big Tent with a clear political narrative. No? With a clear political narrative. Kahit hindi sila kasing critical sa gobyerno ng Bongbong. No? Pwede kang mag-create ng political narrative based on that. No? Kahit hindi kayo sharpest line, direction of the main blow opposition. No? Yun yung pa. Ang delicate, paano yung relasyon nila with the other opposition? With the new opposition? Lalo na halimbawa sa usapin ng Chacha, na parehas silang bumabanat. Parehas silang binabanatan yung
may overlap na.
Parehas silang binabanat. Imagine, sabi ni Digong sa press conference niya, bakit papantay yung konstitusyon? Maganda naman yan. No? Pero sabi niya, maganda naman yan. No? May nagtanong nga na reporter, sabi niya, di ba balak niyong baguhin
exactly.
yan?
Wala talaga mga toyo.
Pero ibig sabihin, makikita mo na more and more, parehas sila ng banat, parehas sila na magiging kondukta vis-a-vis the government kahit merong difference in intensity. So how will they relate or non-relate with each other? The traditional classic opposition and the new opposition. Yun yung magandang panoorin din. No?
Right. Maraming salamat. Thank you so much. I know pagod na pagod ka. I hope your being in Paris has inspired your political analysis, science politika. No, I can see you very inspired ka lang ngayon. I hope hindi kita pinagod masyado. But we covered a lot. Thank you so much, Ronald. Looking forward to more discussions once you're back. Safe trip home. And thank you so much, Secretary Ronald Llamas, for sharing your voice. As I said, marami tayong mga mind-blending dito.
Yes.
And it's interesting. We keep on testing our hypothesis. No? So I think so far, 50-50 naman tayo in terms of hypothesis natin and all. And you're right, there's still many imponderables and many potential curveballs na dapat natin titingnan. But yun nga, exciting times for analysts, even yung mga... No comment. Baka, marami tayong kakaway. Maraming salamat, Sir Ronald.
Okay lang. Hindi ka pag-away
Sige. Enjoy your evening there. God bless, and Ron, I'll talk to you soon. Hindi, ayoko nang away para ma-invite tayo sa next party. Salamat, sir. Send you soon.
Si Miguel, ayaw mo na.
Ayan nga. God bless. Alright guys, thank you very much sa lahat ng mga komenta natin for joining us. I hope na-appreciate nyo ito once again. Nag-marathons tayo dito with our minamahal na ka-host si R&R. Ganda, di ba? Boom, 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 boom. Straight lang lahat ng cover namin. So makikita niyo talaga na iniisip namin ng malalim at masinsinan itong mga topic na to. Hindi ito bara-barang analysis. And, di naman to be mayabang. Hindi kami derivative, right? You can see it. We're always the first to make comments about certain issues. We boldly make certain prognostications. And we courageously and as much as possible, humbly try to also correct ourselves. When we feel, medyo siguro nag-over-retire or under-retire. And that's how you improve your analysis. That's how you become relevant. On that note, thank you very much sa mga ka-YouTubers natin, ka-TikTokers natin. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. And thank you sa lahat ng support nyo. Tuloy-tuloy lang yung discussion na ito and have a lovely, good evening. God bless. Thank you very much and talk to you soon.